Well, residents of Denman and Hornby Islands who've been opponents of the new cable ferry are now saying there is further proof that ferry will never work as promised. And as Dean Stoltz reports, the issue appears to be the weight of the cable itself.
The newest ferry in the fleet, the Bain Sound Connector, has spent lots of time moored here at Buckley Bay since its arrival from C-SPAN shipyards in late August. It's not in service yet and may not be for a while, according to one critic who lives on Hornby Island and has been against the cable ferry idea since it was brought up years ago.
To me, it is not a viable project. To me, it is an embarrassment of engineering.
Peter Kimmerly should know what he speaks of. He's a former master of the world's largest icebreaker, the Terry Fox, and for 12 years was the senior master of the current Buckley Bay to Denman Island ferry, the Quinitza. He also has a team of engineers and lawyers behind him, and he says what fellow islanders have witnessed during the cable ferry sea trials has been eye-opening.
They have agreed to produce a speed of 8.5 knots, and they're only producing a speed of 6.5 knots.
He says the problem is the weight of the 3 cables used by the ferry at 15 tons each, he says, is too much.
The problem is the act of lifting those wires from over 200 feet creates or consumes an awful lot of energy, and it absorbs the energy that should be usable to propel the ferry forward.
Other critics say at 6.5 knots, the ferry would not be able to keep the current schedule, something BC Ferries has said it would. Then there's another promise.
The cable ferry is consuming 2.5 times the fuel that the Quinitza is at 6.5 knots. And the big argument for this project was that fuel savings were going to be a great big benefit, and it's not proving to be so.
Now, we wanted to get some answers from BC Ferries about this, but we were told no one was available for an on-camera or even a phone interview today. We were sent a statement that said sea trials for the ferry continue, and once it meets all contract specifications, the ownership would be transferred from the builder C-SPAN to BC Ferries. When questioned further about the cable weight issue, BC Ferries said it would not be releasing any more information.
There are further questions tonight about BC Ferries' new cable ferry for Denman Island. Yesterday we told you that some watching the sea trials say it's not reaching the required speed, and even if it does, it won't be as energy efficient as the corporation is promising. Now there are environmental concerns about the plastic coating on the cable itself. Dean Stoltz reports.
The new Bain Sound Connector hasn't moved since our story yesterday, questioning its ability to get up to speed during sea trials. So instead, the old vessel, the Quinitza, continues to ferry people and vehicles back and forth to Denman Island. But many local residents have been watching the trials with interest.
The first day, I was really amazed at how slow they were coming across. You could walk faster. And I thought it was just to check everything being conservative. But now, I haven't seen it go any faster.
The ferry has 2 engines. One is supposed to be for backup, but residents say they're both being used, therefore negating any fuel savings promised by BC Ferries. The boat has not been turned over to BC Ferries yet from the builder C-SPAN, and C-SPAN Shipyard's president Brian Carter would only tell CHEK News that, quote, sea trials are a key component of any vessel delivery and are ongoing as we work with BC Ferries to ensure a rigorous testing process. He did not respond to another local concern about the actual cable's blue plastic cover eventually coming off in the waters of Bain Sound.
I asked the installers about it, and they said it was a protective plastic coating to keep the cables from getting damaged during shipping, installation, and that once the ferry's running, it was supposed to wear off into Bain Sound.
He says the plastic pieces that might come off could look like these, which were scraped off on purpose during installation and will mimic zooplankton in the ocean, something many creatures in the ocean eat.
So everything is eating the plastic.
Staffing on the vessel is another issue. BC Ferries wants to reduce the crew from 6 people to 3, but the BC Ferry and Marine Workers Union says that hasn't been approved by Transport Canada yet and shouldn't be.
Well, with the proposed crew count of 3, it's hard to imagine how the ferry could safely launch a rescue operation. 2 people in the rescue boat, 1 person on the ferry. If something should happen in that event, that's something that's deeply troubling for me and my members.